the struggle. Okay, we're alive. Never mind.
What?
So I was not done yet, but hey.
It is Married Like a Champ, right? Y'all want to see what it's really like?
Shut up.
I get this trouble all the time, man. I wasn't ready. Why'd you start the video? I don't know. Because they need to see what my life is really like.
I feel so sorry for you.
I feel sorry for him. How's it going, guys? Married Like a Champ. In health and sickness, really?
Yes.
I got to put up with you when you're sick, too? You guys see what I have to deal with, man? It's nuts. I can't believe I agreed to that part of that vow.
Well,
All right, guys. Looks like we're accumulating some people. Good evening to you all. We are on a Married Like a Champ rotation tonight. And remember, we're not experts. Just want to share, encourage people, move people forward a little bit maybe. I don't know. If we share something you like, awesome. If we don't. Mr. Bolden, how's it going, brother? Great to see you on. Thanks for joining us tonight. So my post said in health and sickness ?
Right.
And I think that I don't know, kind of hit my mom and dad have been. Let's see who we got. So dealing with Jerome, who ruptured his patella tendon in sickness and health is real. That's awesome, Jennifer. I hit the wrong button.
Maybe you should quit.
I'm trying to see the rest of the
You're
comment.
End up hanging up.
Well,
on
let me see the rest of the comment.
Bye.
I'm gonna get in trouble. Bohammy, what's up, Bohammy? Jennifer, that's awesome. And by the way, speaking of Jerome, tell Jerome that I said, hey, I missed that guy. We only got to hang out a couple of times, and I loved our time together. Good stuff. So anyway, the other day, it's kind of spurred. We're thinking, what are we gonna talk about Married Like a Champ this week? And Married Like a Champ. I mean, the concept is to be married like champs, to be the best marriage you can be, right? And so, my mom the other day, will do. He missed you too. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. Anyway, my mom the other day got kind of sick. She's got some struggles. She has what do you say? It's idiocratic. Idiocratic. What's the word for lung?
Pulmonary.
Idiocratic pulmonary. Itis. It's scar tissue in the lungs. There's a particular name for it anyway. So she's got like, thank God I didn't make a doctor, right? So anyway, so that's what kind of spurred the video. We go and it's like my parents they're inseparable. And I think there's something to that. And I know that with my mom, having the lung kind of issue that she's struggling with, she's got like 50% lung capacity. She's on oxygen. So my dad, is really, I don't know if you want to say stepped up, but he's had to kind of step in and do more things around the house, more cooking, and more stuff that he hadn't done as much of in the past. He's always cooked, but anyway, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. That is it. So, A+ for Miss Stephanie. Booyah. I couldn't spit all that out, right? Thank God I just do martial arts, and it don't take much brains to do that. So anyway, so we were just saying, how cool it was. So I my parents didn't know, but I snapped a picture of them with my dad and my mom standing there looking at each other because we ran my mom to the hospital. She's having some breathing trouble, and by the way, she's all good. She's getting it under control. Just kind of had some sort of lung irritation, and anyway, so all is good. They're back home, and with that said, we're thinking back. My parents, my mom and dad, this year celebrated 54 years of marriage, right? And Glen Ann's mom and dad just recently passed 50 years of marriage. And, first and foremost, they deserve an award because that's not an easy thing.
Right.
I think the second thing is they really seriously dug into that covenant under God that they're going to be married and become one, right? And it's a powerful thing. So we were kind of talking about, wow, how powerful is that? Health is easy, man. Everybody's healthy, everybody's happy, everybody's, got it going on. But when sickness kicks in, man, it really changes the dynamic a lot.
It does, because your whole everything changes. You're like, okay, well, we were going to do this, but now we're going to start going. For my parents, for a while it was, we're going to start driving to Houston, which for us is 8 hours away.
Right.
And we're going to have to stay there for a week at a time, so we need to take the trailer down there and set up a home away from home, and be gone from our home for a week at a time, doing this every other week. And there was a lot that they did, and through the whole time we talked to my mom and to my dad, and she said, all the time people would say, I don't know how you do it, and she said, we just do it. It's not like it was never a there was never a feeling sorry, or it was just always because that was the thing people would ask, how do you do this? How do you keep this up? And she said, you do what you have to do. And
right.
I thought that was
yeah. I mean, there's not like a magic answer.
Yeah.
There's really not. I think first and foremost, early on, there was true love.
Right.
A marriage, and here's the deal. What's crazy, and we've talked about this before, is when you get married, you know nothing about being married. I mean, you're absolute,
and
beginners.
you don't for about 10 years.
It takes like 10 years to begin to get the hang of the whole marriage thing, right? And as that process moves forward, but you take that covenant agreement that you make with God that you're going to be married and become one. You take it serious, and and listen, if you've been divorced or this is not the point, but it doesn't become an option. It's not like you're sick or you're not perfect, I'm going to move on to something better, which we all know. And this is one of my things: is the grass is only green where you water it. It's never green on the other side, right? No matter what it appears like. So there's not really a magic answer. It's just taking that covenant extremely serious and taking that love for each other extremely serious, and knowing that no matter what happens, I'm going to be there to carry my end of the bargain. And just watching our parents do that with their spouses at different times on both directions, because Glenn mom had some stuff a few years ago, and her dad really had to step in and take care of some of her stuff, and then her dad struggled with some stuff, and my dad has had some struggles, and my mom has had some struggles. But man, over 50 years of stepping in instead of stepping out, stepping into that responsibility and into that love and caring for the other person is really, really powerful to see. And again, I don't think that there's an easy answer, because when you ask them, it's like, you mean, they almost answer the question of how do you do that? Like, oh, there's another option?
Right.
Yeah, there's not even another
just
option.
What you do, yeah.
It's like whenever, Glenn and I, semi-related, we took over the martial arts school. It was, we never even thought that it might fail. It was like we were too young and dumb to realize this could fail someday, right? We were just in it for the go, right?
We didn't know all the statistics on, early businesses.
80 to 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And it's like, really? Yeah, we had no idea.
Whatever.
We were just too dumb to get it, so we made it work, right? And I think it's kind of similar, right? In that situation, because you ask, my parents, what makes it work? And so here's some hacks and some thoughts, because I've specifically had this conversation with my mom not too long ago about what's been one of your key ingredients to making your marriage successful for so long. And her first thing out of her mouth was, it's not about you. I said, what? She said, I always had to know it was not about me. It was about the other person. In other words, you have to think outside yourself and think about and consider the other person's place, right? And so, if you want to get into, again, kind of hacks for how to make it work is, remember, it's not about you, it's about them, right? And
and whenever both of you feel that way, it's also not a one-sided, it's about, if it were, like, if say with us, if it were not about me, but always about you, then that becomes real one-sided and real top-heavy. You both have to feel that way, where you're both
absolutely
living to just living for one another. You're looking to.
Well, I think it's kind of related to the next hack, and number 2 is whenever you get married, you technically become united as one person. And I know my mom and my dad have both mentioned that to me in the past. Doing anything to hurt my dad, doing anything to hurt my mom would be like, it's like cutting off both of my legs. She's me, I'm her, we become one. And I think that's a really powerful, thought process, because when you get married, and I've used this word covenant intentionally many times, it's not just a contract or an agreement, it's a covenant, not under God necessarily, but with God.
Right.
Because here's the reality. My wife actually happens to be God's child. And this is something we all need to think about even outside of marriage, is whenever I begin to have bad feelings about that person over there, which is very easy to do at times for all of us, that's also God's child. How's he going to want me to treat them? Much less his daughter, who I'm married to and now responsible for, in not only my eyes, but his eyes, right? And so when we become one, I think for me, the advice would be, quit thinking there's an option out. There's not. Why would you want an option out? In other words, this is going to sound kind of weird and callous, but don't just jump off the cliff and marry the first thing you think you like. Vet the situation. Date for a long period of time. Get to know each other, and know what you're, kind of where you're headed, right? And make sure that you align, and they are who you think they are, and so on. But again, it's not about you. Take that covenant agreement extremely seriously, that you become one person.
Well,
right?
and I've had people, in years through the years, talk about different scenarios where the sickness, there is a struggle, and then that struggle becomes more of a, I'm not sure how to say this really nicely, so I'll just say
say it.
So it's like, they got hurt doing something, and so now they're almost depressed about being hurt, and I think that they could do more, but they just won't get off the couch, and there's a frustration there. And I think whenever you both realize that, it's not about you, whenever you have that inner feeling of, okay, it's time for me to get up and go. I am okay. I'm able to move now. Or you have that trust where you can say, hey, I'm really thinking that there's some progress that needs to happen. There's some, we need to, let's get up and walk around the block, or what, do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
It's, because there can be some physical challenges that you can go through, some sicknesses and stuff that you start to get to where there is some progress, or you are able to get past it, but it's not, you maybe not back to 100% to where you were. And oh my goodness, how challenging is that mentally? And it's real easy to shut down, but whenever you have somebody else, it's that, we've talked about before about knowing that you're on the same team.
Right.
And whenever you have that somebody that loves you, that's saying, okay, it's time to get up now and quit eating the bonbons, and let's go, walk around the block, or let's do something. Let's, go have a cup of coffee and get out of this house. Let's do something different. There's a level of trust there that, and it's that, like we said too, it's not about you. You can step outside of yourself and realize that, that they have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, I think sometimes whenever we get hurt, or, like for us, I think get hurt because I've fractured my tibia and had knee surgery, and I've hurt my back a couple times so bad, just that I literally couldn't walk. I've actually, guys, I've had to have Glenn Ann walking me to the toilet and stand me there so I could use the bathroom. It's embarrassing. and most people will look at me and think, you've not dealt with that, but we have in ways, and I think sometimes whenever you get hurt, it's almost easy to kind of begin to kind of get into kind of a depressed state. I know I struggle with it because I feel like every time something gets hurt on me, it's almost like, somebody took a bird, put a ball and chain on them, and just tied them to the ground, because I'm used to flying, man, and going. And then all of a sudden I can't get up and go. And then it's easy to become impatient with my spouse.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to become even, almost feel like it's not their fault, but just spiteful because they're up going and doing, and I can't get up and go and do. And so, man, guys, it's tough. The sickness piece can be really, really, really hard.
So I think all of this is to say there are some levels of sickness that we have experienced together, but there are also some that we have absolutely not, and that the examples of crazy strong marriages that have weathered some serious storms in that arena are just absolutely inspiring. And
hey, Maurice, that's
sorry,
man.
Molly.
We'll definitely pray for you, man. It says mom has stage 4 stomach cancer and want her to be stress-free. I absolutely understand. Cancer is so tough. We've watched several family members go through it and struggle with it. And, in my family, we've had heart issues, cancer, Alzheimer's, stroke. I had a grandmother that was in bed from a stroke for several years, and it's really some tough stuff. But watching our grandparents walk through that, because both sets of my grandparents were actually married for well over 50 years each as well, which was a great model to see.
Yeah.
My grandfather took care of my grandmother, who had a stroke and lost complete use of one side of her body. Took care of her until she passed away for years and years and years. Then I had another grandmother that had breast cancer and Alzheimer's together, and was really harsh. So watching my grandfather and my parents, and aunts and uncles step in and kind of fill the voids there was really tough, but good modeling to get to see. And we just wanted to kind of share tonight, marriage, sickness, health, you gotta be there for both. Health is the easy, everybody's healthy, happy, great. This is the easy piece. When the sickness hits, and it's like anything else, it's not going to be if it hits, it's going to be when it hits. There's going to be something you're going to deal with, and it's just the reality of being a human and moving forward and aging and so on. But when you do, try to be prepared for it, and remember, you're still one. You're still one, So if Glenann did get really sick, it's a part of me that's sick, and I should care for her as if I'm caring for my own wound, and so that's a powerful thing. So then the last piece is just remember our responsibility to each other is to serve each other the way Jesus served the church. Yeah. And I think it's important for us to remember that. So remember, number one for tonight, it's not just about you. Number two, become one and take that very seriously. And remember, if you're helping your spouse when they're down, you're helping your own wound, you're helping yourself, right? And then remember to serve each other the way Jesus served the church, and just maintain a servant's heart in your marriage and in your life with your spouse. And I think those are really helpful things.
Well, and I think that the sickness, the health, and in the sickness is where you care for each other, love each other, and are together through all of that. Would be kind of like if the only time you hear people and they're like looking for prayer whenever things are rough, but man, we need to be going to God when things are great.
When things are great,
and it's the same. It's kind of two sides of that coin. We love through both. We praise God through both.
Absolutely. And so, last funny story, Married Like a Champ funny story for you tonight is a lot of people don't know this, and I'm going to tell the story on Glenann because she gets to tell stories on me sometimes.
Oh,
It was whenever she won, I think it was the last year she won the Women's Creative Breaking World Championship in 2005-ish. The last year, she did that 3 years in a row, by the way, the first female to ever do that. First female to ever break a baseball bat on ESPN cameras, all kinds of cool stuff. And she had dislocated her elbow, and one of her breaks actually popped it out of joint. and still finished the rest of her breaks at the end of her routine. And when the judges were scoring her, no one knew this, but I was on stage with her, and I slid behind her, and I stuck my hands underneath her arms like this, like a forklift, because she was trying to pass out. And so she was like super wobbly. And so I held her up. Now, this is Married Like a Champ, right? She was mad at me because she's like, I'm fine, leave me alone. And I'm like, babe, you're not okay. Because she was like literally like wobbling all over the place. So I stood behind her really close, and I held her up and held her still so the judges could score, because I knew that, well, there were a couple of things. I knew that if she passed out from the pain, because the pain was excruciating, right, that they might disqualify her and she might not win. And then she would have been mad at me because I let her fall over, right? And so I had this weird, so I had to hold her up while she was getting scored, and then I turned and kind of walked her off of the stage so no one ever knew that she was actually in the pain she was in. So that's kind of our funny Married Like a Champ story for you tonight. And, it was one of those times I was hurting for her because it was like devastating to see what she had to deal with. But also at the same time, I was trying to be there for her so she could finish what I knew she wanted to finish and do it right. And she did. And so there's your kind of maybe a little bit funny Married Like a Champ story for tonight, right? Cool. All right, guys. Well, go out there and make the most of it. Remember your covenant, your vow, be one. And just serve each other, man. Serve in sickness and in health, and make it work, man. It's on you. You guys can make it happen, right?
Yeah, and we have some families through teamship that are going through some pretty significant stuff.
Absolutely.
And your example that you were setting for the people that you don't realize see you is amazing. You are absolutely in our prayers.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys. Y'all go have a great night. Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us.
We're Parent Like a Champ next week, right?
We're Parent Like a Champ next week.
Are we going to get to share about how we were like epic parents a couple of weeks ago?
We have a great Parent Like a Champ story for you next week. Like, wow, like I can't believe I just did that, right? And so come join us next week. Also, guys, let us know in the comments what you're thinking, how you're feeling. Appreciate your thoughts and comments. And let us know if there's anything you guys want to hear about. Go out there and share it and help spread the word. Let's encourage people to keep, guys, one of our problems in society, in my humble opinion, is family. Families are falling apart left and right, man. So let's go encourage families to be families and be strong. All right, guys, have a great night.